movie was about.
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the lens, capture.
Good morning, good morning, good morning, Marvel people. Marvel people. That sounds funny. Good morning, Marvel people. Good morning, MCU fans. Good morning, Captain America fans. Good morning, Avengers fans. Good morning, Jordan Burton. It's your host, T-Will, and my guy, Jordan Burton, and we're here to discuss one of the greatest Captain America movies ever in Captain America, the Winter Soldier. Jordan, how you doing this morning, my friend?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Hey, man, I'm doing well. Can't complain. Wouldn't matter if I did. Super excited about this movie. While we covered The Amazing Spider-Man yesterday, and suffice it to say, it was not one of the better movies from any Marvel, even though it was just not one of the better movies. But this is in stark contrast to that. This is one of the best MCU movies ever. I love it every time I watch it. I love it. It gets better. I just enjoy it. And we are reviewing it today. And I noticed that you have on your Eminem shirt. So do you want to give us the connection between Eminem?
I'm gonna be honest. I just grabbed a shirt and threw it on. I'm gonna be honest. I mean, I could have. I thought about like putting on a Commander's jersey, even though they don't play. They play in Landover, Maryland, not even Washington D.C. Because I mean, what's great about this movie is it takes place in D.C. and this is the only Captain America movie that is in D.C. So, I mean, for Captain America, you would think he would probably be in DC more often, but this is the only one. So, I mean, I'm like, I like it because there's no other Marvel movie that takes place in DC. So this is a new area that we're exploring.
Right.
And for Captain America, there's literally no other character that should have their own movie in DC other than Captain America. It just makes total sense. But yeah, I could have put on a Commander's jersey. I thought about my Michael Jordan Bullets jersey because it's a throwback from when he was on the Wizards. They wore it like twice, and it's a Bullets. So yeah, I thought about that, but no jersey today.
Oh, good, man. Totally understand. So this is a good old-fashioned political spy thriller. Where Iron Man is about technology and ego, Winter Soldier is about power structures. And it asks three questions. Number one, who's really in control? Jordan, who's really in control? What does security cost? And how far do you go to stop threats before they happen? And that's essentially the premise that's at play here. It starts off with we're introduced to Sam, or who will become the Falcon, and Cap is doing his morning exercise, his morning routine, and he passes Sam and he goes, "On your left," and then he laps around him again and he's like, "On your left," and then by the third time, Sam's like, "Come on, man, don't say it, don't say it, don't say it," and seems like, "On your left," and he's like, "Oh man," and just his competitive juices kick in. But of course, he can't keep up with Captain America, and so he ends up just taking a break. I'm talking about Sam by the tree, and Cap has lapped him again, and he's like, "Oh, you okay, buddy?" And he's like, yeah, he's like, I'm Steve Rogers. He's like, yeah, I pretty much put that together. And they have a moment where they talk about how it's kind of difficult to sleep on a bed after you've been, in conflict abroad and used to sleeping on the ground and the rocks. And Cap comments is like sleeping on a warm marshmallow or something like that. And they kind of build a rapport. And of course, you know, uh, Black Widow pulls up, our favorite Avengers vixen, and she cracks a joke, and Sam's kind of checking her out. They have a moment there, and she's kind of checking him out, and it's funny. She says, "Hey, can anybody tell me where the Smithsonian is? I'm looking for a fossil," and they have their little rapport. But it's a good introductory piece to Sam, and we see that Black Widow is going to be in this one, and it's just fun. And the car she pulls up in is dope. Okay, just dope. Um, and in the next scene is probably one of my favorite fight scenes ever. If I have to rate this scene, it is a 38 out of 10. Okay, because let me tell you something. Cap is on the ship on the craft, the plane, and he's going with Rumlow, who would go on to be, I forget Rumlow's code name or whatever. But he's talking to Rumlow and some of the other guys, and he's like, "You do this, you do this, you do that, da 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 da." And then he jumps from the plane, and they have to be at least 400 feet up in the air. Now, for those of you who are not aware, at 80 feet, jumping into any body of water is typically when you die because the impact is going to crush you. Captain America, he may have jumped from 1,000 feet, okay, but it's awesome. And he jumps out, and one of the soldiers is like, "Did he take a parachute?" And Rumlow's like, "He did not." And so Cap jumps out into the air, like a paratrooper, angles his body, you know what I mean? Descends down, descends into the water, bam, sneaks up the anchor onto the ship. And Jordan, Cap must have taken out about 20 men, but he does it so quickly. And the way he wields his shield and the impact, like you just see him on the first guy, quiet, take him down. And he's moving so fast, and it's like bam, 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 bam. And it is coordinated so well. Jordan, that's got to be one of the best things I've ever seen. Just from a pure action standpoint, phenomenal. I've been talking way too much, Jordan. Give me your thoughts on this first scene, specifically when he's on the Lemurian Star and taking out all these guys.
I mean, what's so cool about this is how stealthy he is during
Yes.
this. Like,
Yes.
when it comes to all the Avengers, I mean, Natasha and Clint are inherently, they're inherently just they're swift and they make quiet movements and stuff like that. But Captain America is a big dude. Like, he's a super soldier. So for him to be moving that swiftly and that quiet and just heaving his shield at people, kicking people off the boat, it's so cool. Everything about it is so cool. And then they get into the fight with I forget who the Russian their leader is. And he says in Russian, "I thought you were more than just a shield." And this dude is so cool. He drops the shield, takes off his helmet, and starts speaking to him in Russian. And I'm like, this is sick.
Yeah.
That is like, and then kicks his butt. Like, like that is because there are people on the internet that feel like Captain America is just a shield. And even going into this movie, I remember they're like, "Oh, well, if he didn't have the shield, like he wouldn't be anything." And guess what? What we learn throughout the rest of the Marvel movies is Captain America 100% doesn't need the shield. And the shield is a representation of him, because he could have a gun, he could have like a bow and arrow, he could have a sword, he could have all that. But as a shield, as a weapon, is used for protection because he wants to protect people. At the end of the day, he doesn't want to hurt people. He just wants to make like everybody else safe, which is why he carries a shield in itself. So
he's also worthy of Thor's hammer. So let's not forget that. You know what I mean? But go ahead. I'm sorry.
Of course. And he does have a gun in the first Avenger movie.
He does.
During the montage scenes, but his weapon of choice is the shield. So even just dropping the shield and going hand-to-hand combat, the hand-to-hand combat in this movie is the best of every Marvel movie. Yes. I will not even. I have no doubt in my mind. It's not even close.
It's not even close.
The scene later on with him and Bucky with the knife and stuff is the best hand-to-hand fight scene in the entire MCU. Mm-hmm. I've seen people say like, "Oh, well, this is close." No, there's nothing close. That every time I watch that scene, I watch TikToks. Every time that video pops up, I have to stop and just watch it. Or if there's behind the scenes of that, I'm just like, I have to watch it because I'm like, I don't know how they did it. And it's fast enough, but you can pay attention because of the way the camera's done. You can pay attention to like their hand movements, and you're paying attention to the whole fight as it's happening, as if these are two trained assassins fighting each other. And that's what's so great about that scene. Because if this could have easily been done in like a lot of cuts and stuff like that, and it would have been hard to track and stuff like that. Kind of like almost like the way Mission Impossible 3 is shot. You know, I love it. That's my favorite Mission Impossible movie. There are a lot of parts of that movie where like it's hard to keep track because of the amount of cuts, but the way the camera is done, it's perfect. But getting back to the beginning with this fight, it's the hand-to-hand fighting in this movie is incredible. And this fight scene in general is just it's showing that. So in the first Avengers movie, like Steve is just getting out of the ice. Like this is his first fight against aliens, so he's a little shaky, he's a little rusty. So this is peak. This is Cap is back.
Yes,
Cap is back. So
yes, and at top form. Yes,
absolutely. So in this fight, now it's like if you're on Cap, if you're gonna fight up against Captain America, good luck.
Bro, it's not even close. Like, and I think there's a scene in the Avengers where you can see that, because I forget who he fights, but it's nobody spectacular, but you can see he's kind of ramping his way up. But I agree with you 100%. He is back. Like, he takes on 20 men like it is nothing. And the one guy, he knocks down 2 guys, knocks one out. The other guy goes for the alarm, and he throws the knife and sticks his hand up on the wall like he's in rare form. You're not like, he could have gone through that entire ship, and none of would have known about it, right? Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, Rumlow shows up just as the other guy is about to shoot at him, and Rumlow kills him, and he's like, Cap's like, thanks, and Rumlow's like, yeah, you just look like you needed help. You look like you were just in mortal danger there, Cap. And it's funny because in the beginning of this film, there's kind of this natural respect between Rumlow and Cap. Before we know Rumlow's intentions and his affiliations, there's kind of this natural respect between Rumlow and Captain America. There really is. But, you know, as the mission goes on, Cap discovers that, okay, they get on the ship. They're hostages. They're about to make a coordinated attack. And Black Widow is taking a little bit longer than she normally does because, you know, she's all about precision. Mm-hmm. But she finally gets into place. You know, they attack the pirates or whatever. They liberate the hostages. And Steve ends up going into the office with the main guy and sees Natasha doing something that he had no idea that she was doing. And it almost ends up costing them. Mm-hmm. They escape or whatever, and they carry out the mission. And, you know, she tells him, well, you know, this was your mission. This is my mission. Mm-hmm. And he's like, okay. So then, you know, he and Fury have a conversation. And he's like, look, I can't have soldiers working under me who have different objectives that I don't know about. He says that's counterintuitive, that jeopardizes the mission, right?
Yeah.
And Nick Fury says, well, you're not comfortable with some things. Natasha's comfortable with everything. So, I gave her this mission. And they have a discussion about it. And right away, you see that their approach to doing things is totally different when it comes to conflict and enemies abroad. It's just, it's different. Cap is an old school guy who believes, look, we're all on the same team. We all need to know about the mission. We all need to know about objectives. And Nick Fury says, hey, man, it's a different world, guy. It's a different world. And you better get comfortable with it. You know what I mean? You need to get on board. And because he kind of feels bad about it, he introduces Cap to the 3 helicarriers that they have and tells them about their purpose. But he tells them this story as they hop on the elevator to, and it's interesting. Well, no, it's not interesting because Cap shouldn't have access at this point, but they hop on the elevator. He tells them a story about his granddad and how his granddad didn't trust people. And a big part of this film is the fact that Nick Fury doesn't trust anybody. And as such, he kind of doles out information to different sources. Really, I think he even says it is that if nobody knows the entire plan, nobody can be interrogated, nobody can be blamed, and more importantly, the information, the full plan can never be disclosed because nobody knows the full plan. And Captain America says, but you, right? And you can see they have a disagreement, but essentially they get down and he tells them that these helicarriers will be able to take out their enemies before they ever even get off their lawn. Like it's basically a super advanced security system around the world. And it's a response to what happened in New York. And Captain America says, is it really security though? If they haven't done it yet? I think he says punishment before the crime. And he says, well, you guys, Nick Fury says, you guys were the greatest generation in the world. You guys did some pretty awful things. He was like, we did them in response to war. This isn't that. This is fear, right? And so right away, they have this philosophical discussion. Give me your thoughts on the scene, Jordan. Give me your thoughts on Cap's point of view and Nick Fury's point of view in this particular scene.
This is where MCU really beginning, because what's great about a lot of Marvel movies, especially Winter Soldier and Civil War, because sometimes an idea will be presented that will split the audience in 2 ways.
Yes.
And this is one of those, because there are going to be people who support Cap's side. There's going to be people who support Nick Fury's side. Mm-hmm. And I don't think either party is wrong in this situation. It's just, this is where I side with Cap, and that there's just what Nick Fury's doing is not wrong. And he understands. I understand why he's doing that and having this extra security measures. I mean, considering what happened in New York, because you have to have a fear. I mean, we just saw Aliens. This is the first time we've seen Aliens. I mean, now Nick Fury has seen Aliens before this. If you look at Captain Marvel, but I mean, this has now gone a certain way where the world could end from an alien invasion, and you need to have security measures.
Right.
So, I love this. The dialogue in this is fantastic in this scene, because, and in my opinion, this is. I love Nick Fury's character in this movie, because this Nick Fury we learn a lot more of. We learn a lot more of his story and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And it's like people during the multiverse saga have been like, oh, who's going to be the next Nick Fury? And they thought that was the lady from Seinfeld who was in Thunderbolts and basically started Thunderbolts and the New Avengers.
Yeah.
They thought it was going to be her, and they tried to play her off as that, but we weren't finding her relatable like Nick Fury.
Right.
And they tried to do it in the actual Thunderbolts movie, but it wasn't. We still didn't really find it relatable.
Right.
But Nick Fury, like the way he just he'll tell stories about like, yeah, my granddad did this, my dad did this. I trusted someone once, and oh, that's the worst part of this whole movie, actually.
Yeah, the last time I trusted somebody, I lost an eye. Yeah.
That's the worst part of this movie in hindsight, because you're like, really? And that's a blunder on Captain Marvel, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Because like we all after this scene, after that scene in this movie where he says, last time I trusted someone, I lost an eye. When he says that, I remember the whole internet was speculating like, oh, what happened? What happened? For years after this movie came out, people speculated. And then like I heard multiverse, or I heard time travel theories and stuff like that, where it's like, oh, well, eventually he'll or it, like it was so weird. And for it to happen like that in Captain Marvel, I'm just like, oh my god, really? Are we really? This is stupid. That's a Captain Marvel blunder. And then in hindsight, like now every time I watch this movie, I'm like, yeah, I think that was this is kind of silly. So I don't know. But yeah, the dialogue between the two of them in this scene is very powerful, and it does create a divide in whoever's watching it from an audience perspective, and that's what makes this so great.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting because it shows Steve's discomfort with secrecy and compartmentalization, and it reveals a fracture between Steve's moral clarity and S.H.I.E.L.D.'s operational culture. And this is 100% true. Steve is not on board for any of this, and it lays the groundwork for Civil War perfectly, because he's just awakened. And, Steve is all about trust government, follow your government 100%. And now he's beginning to see that, there are those in authority in government that you simply just can't trust. I don't agree with the way that they do things. As a matter of fact, he even says this. I forget who he's having the conversation with, but he says, I'm having a crisis of conscience in the way that they do things. And it's interesting, but after this encounter, he goes to see Peggy Carter. Was it Peggy? Yeah. Peggy Carter. Yeah. And she's obviously, older. She's in her 80s, maybe even 90s. And she's got Alzheimer's. And so, of course, he's talking to her, and she remembers she sees him again, and it's like it's new. And she's like, oh my God, it's so good to see you. But in having this discussion, we see what it's really like for him when you come back after 70 years and most of your friends are dead, or they're in a capacity to where, they're fragile. You know what I mean? He even cracks a joke that, most of the guys from his barbershop quartet are dead in a conversation that he's having with Black Widow. And so he's having issues relating to this world, right? It's like going to sleep and waking up 75 years later, and it's a totally different world. And the way they engage each other is totally different. I should have mentioned this, but it's funny, as he and Sam are talking in the first scene, Sam says, Trouble Man, Marvin Gaye's Trouble Man, all you need to know. And he writes it down on this list, and he's got like Star Wars and Rocky 2 and
Apple, yeah.
That's
so great.
And Scarface. But it's pretty great. I like the way they did that. But it brings to the point that, he's got traditional values in a time that those values have been passed by. And so he's kind of like, he feels like a relic, but it's kind of like he's got to be asking the question, is it me? You know what I mean? Is it me or is it them? Or, he doesn't want to capitulate to their worldview. And this is a big, big, big piece with him. And it is what will lay the groundwork for civil war going forward. It's also the conflict that he and Tony Stark have in Age of Ultron, where he's like, Stark is like, it's criminal why you don't get this, and he's like, oh, come on, Stark. It's just they do a great job of setting up the agenda going forward in this movie. A lot of that happens going forward. But anyway, let's anyway, so in this next scene, Nick Fury is trying to gain some information about something that happened, and he doesn't have access, and he's the director of S.H.I.E.L.D., and so he says, who authorized this? And they say Nick Fury, but he doesn't have access. So right away, he knows something is wrong. He knows something is wrong. So he gets ready to leave, and I guess I don't know where he's going, but he's leaving. And all of a sudden, the cronies from S.H.I.E.L.D. attack him. And again, this is a great scene. This is a great, great scene because it sets up not only Nick's ingenuity, but his ability to adjust on the fly, right? Mm-hmm. So he's kind of put into a corner and attacked by 3 police officers, although these aren't police officers. And they just open fire on his vehicle. And the vehicle obviously is bulletproof, but it's only going to be bulletproof to, I think they're firing 50 cal weapons at him. So it's only going to be bulletproof for a while. And he's having conversations with the AI in the car, and the AI is saying it's at 50% integrity, 30% integrity, and it's getting ready to launch the countermeasures. And he's like, wait. And right when it gets to about 1%, this gun turret just launches itself. Nick Fury grabs it and begins to wipe out all of these guys. It's probably like 20 guys that are literally at his door getting ready to fire on him. And he starts to take those guys out and gives the car command. Car ends up taking off, but it's really cool in the way that this car is loaded with weapons. Like, this is not your average vehicle. It is loaded with weapons that, of course, because they've been fired upon, most of them do not work. And he's like, well, what is working? And the car's like, well, the air conditioning is working fine, which again is kind of a little bit humorous, but it's funny. And as he's leaving and trying to escape, he's having to fire upon guys, dodge guys, take these guys out. And we really see that Nick Fury is a very prodigious fighter when it comes to Thursday. Like, he knows how to fight. He knows how to get it on. I think he and Captain America share that. Now, to your point, when you were saying, well, the people on the internet were saying that Captain America is just a shield. These are guys that really don't know Marvel, because Captain America in the entire Marvel universe is respected as the one that they go to when they have to make a decision, specifically when it comes to a conflict. Mm-hmm. That is well known. In any, and I'm talking galactic figures. I'm talking anybody that comes to Earth knows when it comes to Marvel, okay, if there's going to be a global response, a universal response, we want to know Cap's opinion. And pretty much what Cap says is law. Captain America is the best strategist when it comes to war known to man. Okay. So anyway, Nick finds his way out of the situation. He almost escapes, and he runs upon this entity with this metal arm and this mask. And we're like, who is this guy? And he fires this weapon that attaches itself to the bottom of the vehicle that Sam is driving, and the car explodes. And we get this hulking creature. Well, not this hulking creature, but this dude's clearly buff. He's got a metal arm, and he is playing no games, and we find out that this is the Winter Soldier. And Nick Fury uses this device that's essentially a laser that cuts into the car, and he cuts a path into the sewer. Although, if there was not already a path there, yeesh. Anyway, he cuts a path into a sewer for the purposes of getting away. And he does get away. Okay. Give me your thoughts on this scene and what you're thinking when you first saw it versus what do you think now after you've gone back and seen it a couple of times?
In the comics, I never had much experience with the Winter Soldier, so this was actually my first ever time seeing the Winter Soldier in anything. So I had no idea who this dude was. Right. And I didn't have any sort of lead up to this film. I saw it in the theaters, and that was it. Like, I didn't know Sebastian Stan was going to be casted in this. I didn't know anything. So I'm like, all right, I don't know who this dude is, but he clearly needs a haircut. I remember that was the first thing I thought of. This guy needs a haircut. He has too long of hair. And I was like, I love the music in this. The music for the Winter Soldier is probably top 5 for me.
Ever.
In Marvel. Like, it's just ever. It's so I don't even know. I don't know how to describe the music. It's so eerie and so like mysterious that I every time I hear it in anything, I just want to hear more of it. And they do a great job with the music in this movie.
It's outstanding. It really is outstanding.
It's incredible. But yeah, Samuel Jackson and Samuel Jackson is Nick Fury in my opinion. Every time I see that him acting in something, I always think of Nick Fury, and vice versa. When I think of Nick Fury, I always think of Samuel Jackson. So, this entire time Nick Fury is like you're saying, he's able to adapt, and this whole scene shows like what Nick Fury is capable of, because up to this point in Marvel, we've just kind of seen Nick Fury as like a front guy, like a guy who's leading the charge and stuff like that, but we don't know like what he's really capable of. We see a little bit of it at the beginning of the Avengers, where he like jumps out of an airplane and stuff like that, or in a helicopter. But in this scene, it shows like, well, I was so confused because I'm like, what the heck is going on? I'm like, why are they attacking him? And he's just able to like maneuver his way out of that, and I'm like, yeah, this is boss Nick Fury. This is, in my opinion, peak Nick Fury is in this movie.
Yes, yeah, 100%, just phenomenal. And so in the next scene, Captain America is going home to his apartment, and he rolls up upon nobody else other than Sharon Carter, who will be a love interest of him in later iterations. And for those of you who Sharon Carter in the comics ends up killing Captain America because I think she's under the is it Baron Zemo?
Baron Zemo, yeah.
Gives her this potion or whatever, or exercises some sort of mind control. And but that's a whole nother story. But anyway, Sharon Carter and Captain America have a relationship in the comics. And so he meets her, and I think she's undercover protecting him, so she gives him a different name. But she's about to go downstairs and do laundry, and he's like, you can come over and use mine, if you.
Oh my god, this movie in hindsight does a lot of weird things, like between Captain Marvel and the eye thing, and then like this and Civil War, like hinting at the Sharon relationship, and I'm like, clearly it's so clear and obvious they didn't know exactly what they wanted to do when it came to Avengers Endgame and like ending Cap's whole like story, like even to Civil War, because just the idea, and the internet knows this too. It's like, okay, we don't know what we're gonna look at with Avengers Doomsday when Steve comes back and like he's with Peggy. Like I've seen TikToks where people are like someone pretends to be Steve and another person pretends to be Peggy, and Peggy's like oh JFK's going to Dallas this weekend, and he like spits out tea, or he's like oh my sister just gave birth to a little girl, they named her Sharon, and he's like it's so uncomfortable. Like I can't look at this two the same in either in this movie, because I like what they are in Civil War, but then when Endgame came out and he went back in time, I'm like, okay, please, this is where I want Marvel to retcon something. Please say that when he goes back in time, because he goes back in time, Sharon does not become born. Do that. Just please, dear God, please do that. Don't make her a thing. Don't make her a thing, because it would be weird. It's weird. Everything is weird. Or make her adopted. Something. Literally anything. Just don't make it weird, because then when I go watch this movie and Civil War, I'm like, oh no. And like they don't even talk about, Sharon doesn't even talk about that like in Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Like, and I'm like, oh, it's so weird. Also, in the lead up to this scene, and then I will pass this off to you to talk about the rest of the scene. The music that is playing when Captain America enters his apartment is the same song that is played at the end of Avengers Endgame when him and Peggy are dancing. Yeah. I didn't realize it until I went back and watched this for the first time after Endgame.
Yep.
Like, because I mean, I didn't know. I was like, oh, this is such a sweet song. Like when I'm watching Endgame, and then I watched this for the first time after that, and I'm like, oh my God, this song has been here the whole time.
I mean, yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting storyline. It's going to be a very, very, very interesting storyline as to where they go with it. But I don't think they'll shy away from it. I don't. I
want them to.
I think they'll lean into it. I think they'll do the opposite. I think they'll lean into it. I think 100%. Now, it may be, you may have different versions of Captain America. Like I've heard Captain America Hydra agent may be in this movie, which would be,
I heard that too.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. And if you've not read that comic, Captain America Hydra agent, phenomenal story.
Mm-hmm.
It's essentially, oh man, I don't even know if we have time to get into this, but Captain America in this particular comic, in this particular iteration, I don't want to call it a what if, but it's just, it's not a what if, but in this particular universe, Captain America has been a Hydra agent the whole time and is unaware, and through a set of circumstances, I don't know if he gets hit on the head, but he is now aware that he is a Hydra agent, and he puts together this plan of attack that is second to none. Let me tell you something. Captain America is nobody you want as an enemy. I'll just put it that way. Nobody. Okay? Because that brain, woo, boy. Anyway, and it's interesting because to your point, it brings the whole crux of the movie is totalitarian regimes,
Mm-hmm.
right? If you had freedom and you had to deal with crime and certain issues that you wouldn't have to do with in a totalitarian regime, but you wouldn't have freedom, which would you choose? And like you say, half the people are going to choose freedom. A very strong contingent are going to choose totalitarian regime. Mm-hmm. And so that's a big part of that comic. And really, it's a big part of Injustice. To me, those two have similar character arcs, and really the story is the same. In that, in Injustice, Superman loses it because Joker kills Lois Lane, and it is like, okay, I'm not gonna let you guys govern yourselves anymore. You answer to me, because that's enough of this foolishness. And again, the whole theme, the crux of this is, would you rather have no crime, everything you needed, but you had no freedom? Right? You have no crime, or you have very little crime, because in that world, if there's crime, they stamp it out immediately. Okay. I mean, this is Superman. Okay. Would you rather live in a world where there's no crime, you get what you need, but you have no freedom? Or would you rather have freedoms, but the things that come with it? And it's an interesting debate. But anyway, back to this, and back to where we are. Cap sees Sharon Carter, shoots a shot, right? Would we call it a miss?
No, I mean, she says, he's like, she's like, what would I pay you for, like, the laundry? He's like, a cup of coffee. And I think she kind of pushes it into like, it's not a no, but it's like maybe at a later date. That's kind of what she kind of pushes it.
Yeah. Feels like she blocked his shot there, but okay, it's fine. All good. No worries. So
it's blocked, but he got the rebound.
Good point.
Yeah.
Good point.
He still got the ball. He still got the ball.
He still got the ball. Okay. Good point.
He still got the ball.
Point. So he goes into his apartment and he sees the doors open, and Sharon says to him, yeah, there's a song coming from your apartment, kind of letting him know that, look, Nick's in there, without letting him know that Nick's in there. And he goes in and he sees Nick, and Nick is saying, yeah, my wife threw me out. And he's like, I didn't know you're married. And, they have this thing where Nick tells him, you're being, that there are other people listening to our conversation. And they have this dialogue, and then all of a sudden the Winter Soldier, for lack of a better word, pumps him full of lead. Okay. And this is one of the many scenes. Man, they get after it in this movie. I love Captain America. I love him as a character. I love the way they do him. Captain America is running through walls. Okay. He is not going to be stopped. He is after the Winter Soldier, and the Winter Soldier is here for it. He's jumping over rooftop. He's going in and out, and Captain America is going through this wall and this wall. And then Captain America has no F's to give. Okay. He is after his guy, and he is not going to be stopped. And it's great because as the Winter Soldier descends from a building onto another rooftop, Captain America goes through the window, lands on the same rooftop, hurls his shield at him, and we get that famous scene where the Winter Soldier turns around, catches his shield, and throws it back at him, and knocks Cap back about 10 feet, and Cap's like, who the hell is this guy? I mean, he doesn't say it, but you can see the look on his face like, who the hell is this guy? And then all of a sudden, Winter Soldier just jumps down or descends into we don't know where, because when Cap looks for him, he can't find him. But it's like, what an entrance. I mean, what an entrance, right? And of course, they go back to the hospital, and we see, or we think we see, Nick Fury die. And it's interesting because we see Cap. Cap obviously has an affinity for Nick, so he's bothered by it. We see Natasha and what's her name? Maria Hill. Yeah. We see them emotionally bothered by it. They don't shed big tears, but you see a tear or two to belabor the point that his whole team respects and loves him. And they want answers. And of course, during their discussion, Nick gives Captain America this jump drive. And one thing about Captain America is no dummy. And so at this point, when he sees that Nick, in his mind has died, he knows, okay, I got to do something with this device, because as soon as that happened, Rumlow says, hey, they need you back at headquarters. And he's like, okay, give me a minute. And he's like, no, They need you now. And Cap just has this feeling like, if they came after him, they're probably going to come after me. So he hides the jump drive in the vending machine of all places. Would you have hit that there? Do you think that's a good spot to hide that? I mean, I know he didn't have a lot of options, but give me your thoughts on, him hiding the jump drive in the vending machine.
I mean, in that moment, he needed to act quick. That was my reaction. So honestly, I would have probably done the same thing.
Okay.
Because of like, he had the shield agent telling him like, hey, we need to go now, and he's like, okay. And so it's like you're kind of looking for your surroundings. All right, where should I put this? And putting it like far back enough that like nobody should be able to get it unless you really, 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 really want gum, or
you want a lot of gum.
Which is funny when Natasha ends up getting the drive, she's blowing bubble gum. I'm like, I hate you so much. Like, you're so sneaky. But it's funny. Natasha is so funny to a point where it's like she knows what she's doing, and she knows it's gonna annoy people, but it makes the audience just laugh. That's just her humor. She'll just say something and it'd be like, oh no, yeah. She even tells Cap, she's like, I only act like I don't know anything. I don't know anything, Rogers. Like she says that right after their interaction. But
it's true. That's 100% true.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh,
that's
yeah.
100% true. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
But in that moment, I would have probably done the exact same thing. Because you have to act instinctively, and you see a guy who's loading up a vending machine, quickly sneak that in the back, and call it a day.
Yeah. So he goes into Shield's headquarters and he has the conversation with I forget Robert Redford's character. Rest in peace, Rob. Love Robert Redford. Love me some Robert Redford, man. One of my favorite actors ever. Just love Robert, man. Robert's that dude, man. Robert was Tom Cruise before Tom Cruise. You know what I mean? My mom's age, and they love Robert Redford. So Robert was that dude, man. Definitely that dude. So he has a conversation with him, and he's like, look, man, I don't know who killed my friend, but know this, I'm gonna find out. And anybody who gets in my way, they're gonna be dealt with. And Cap knows enough not to trust him. So he asked Cap, well, what did he tell you? And he's like, he didn't tell me anything. He's like, he just told me he was in danger and some folks were after him, but we didn't get into it. And Robert knows he's lying. Okay. And he feels that Robert is not on the up and up. He doesn't say this, but he just, feels that way. And so as he's getting ready to leave, and the other thing is Robert tells him a story of how Nick saved his daughter in a situation where there was conflict because Nick disobeyed an order and got his daughter and some other ladies out alive from some conflict situation. But anyway, as Captain America is leaving, we get into another scene that is just phenomenal. I mean, just phenomenal. So Rumlow and two guys get into the elevator, and then another three guys get into the elevator, and then another three guys get into the elevator. And finally, it's like, 15, 20 guys in the elevator. And Cap finally is like, look, guys, before we get started, does anyone want to get off? You know what I mean? Because he's basically saying, look it, man, I'm about to unload on y'all. If y'all are about to do what I think you're about to do, I'm about to unload on y'all. Okay. And so anybody who doesn't want to risk it, if you want to get off now. And Rumlow's main guy, I can't think of his guy, but he turns around and tries to attack Cap. And Cap takes on 20 guys. They use these magnets to attach his hand to this piece on the elevator, and they succeed at one. They don't succeed at the other. And he takes them all down. And finally, there's a final battle between he and Rumlow. And Rumlo's like, it's nothing personal, Cap. And Cap chokes him out and he says, well, it feels personal. And then he sees that he stops the elevator on 2 different floors and he sees that S.H.I.E.L.D. is just going to keep coming. So he jumps out of an elevator from 80 feet high and descends onto the ground through glass, landing on his shield in what is an awesome scene. I mean, an awesome scene. Okay. And then he gets up and proceeds to run. And one of one of the Hydra guys is like, he's in the garage. We got to block everything off. And we see Cap come over the barriers or jump over the barriers on this motorcycle. And he's trying to get away. And then all of a sudden this this shield plane comes down. And, again, Captain America is the most adept warrior ever. He jumps from the motorcycle onto the plane, disables the plane, jumps over the barrier that they've established and gets away. But what a scene, man. Phenomenal scene. Let's talk about your thoughts on this scene, man. I know it's one of my favorites from this movie, but give me your thoughts on that.
Oh, this elevator scene, man. Anytime you say the elevator scene to anyone who's ever watched a Marvel movie, they're going to know exactly what you're talking about. This is my second favorite fight in this whole movie behind the knife scene with him and Bucky. Yeah. But it's just so iconic that especially the way it starts, like you see Steve looking around like he's like on edge right now. He sees one of the guys has hand on his gun on his side and he's like, all right. Then he looks over, he sees another guy with sweat dripping down his head, and right then and there he was like nobody's gotten in his head. He's like, all right, nobody's gotten off this elevator. And he's like, all right, well, might as well just get this over with. And he says before we start, does anyone want to get off? That's so great. And this guy he was using his arms, his legs, and he has one arm magnetized, and he's just still able to kick all their butts, and then ends with that iconic like kick of the shield all the way to get the shield to his wrist. It's awesome scene. It's
an amazing scene, man. It is an amazing scene.
And then
just wow.
And then he jumps off, and then he goes and like it's so cool. He's literally driving towards a Quinjet, and then just hurls his shield, knocks down 2 engines, jumps on it, knocks out more engines, jumps over the barrier, and then iconic superhero landing with the shield in front of the camera. Just incredible, man. Incredible.
Yeah, Cap is a very prodigious fighter, and again, that's why when you were like, the internet, they clearly don't know who Captain America is. Captain America is a very prodigious fighter. The only reason he is not the most powerful in the world is because just the sheer power in his body. But if you take Captain America's brain and put it in the Hulk's body, he'd be unstoppable. He'd be unstoppable. It's interesting. And don't get me wrong, the Hulk is a weapon, especially when you really make him mad. We see that in World Breaker Hulk. But in Infinity War, when Thanos and Hulk go after it, the Hulk is no match for Thanos because Thanos is a warrior. Thanos has lived thousands of years. He is a very prodigious fighter. The Hulk is just really strong. And so people don't realize just how savvy Cap is as a fighter and as a soldier and as a warrior. And that is on full display in this movie. It's one of the things I love about it, man. But, anyway, Cap escapes. He goes to find Natasha at the hospital. They have their little moment where, I don't know if I trust you. Well, I don't know if I trust you. Well, da-da-da-da-da. And they figure out that they trust each other and they leave. And they say, well, you know what? We got to find out what's on this disc. So they go to the mall. And of course, the disc has some sort of beacon or timer on it that once it's activated, you got 10 minutes and you got to be gone because Shield's going to show up. And this is exactly what happens at the mall. And we get to see them relate to each other because they're trying to avoid Shield's capture, or Hydra's capture rather. And there's a moment where Rumlow's kind of going up the elevator and they're escalator, and they're going down the escalator. And she turns to Cap and says, "Kiss me." Public displays of affection make people uncomfortable, right? And they do, and it works, and they end up getting away. And they go to Cap's old base. And this is where, in looking at a lot of if there's one criticism of this movie, it was this scene. Now, I personally loved it. You know what I mean? I love the fact that you could download your consciousness into a computer. But a lot of people felt like because the movie was so grounded, why are you then going to shift to this, this scene where this guy's consciousness is downloaded onto a computer and you're interacting with him? The criticism is just it felt out of place. And some would argue that it was a plot device to introduce Shield's agenda, but I didn't think of it that way. I liked it. I liked the fact that he got a chance to interact with a former foe, and he says to him, look we didn't die. You cut off the head of the snake and 2 more grow back. We didn't die. We just integrated ourselves in the Shield. We've been doing this for 70 years, Cap. Welcome to the party, baby. We've been doing this for 70 years. What are you talking about? We started wars. We did this. And the one thing we realize is that you can't force subjugation onto people. They have to willingly give you their freedom. And this is true. Okay. And he says, so we would manufacture wars. We'd create situations in which people would willingly do that. And we are on the precipice of fully taking over. And there's nothing you guys can do to stop it, because guess what? I've been stalling and you guys are about to be blown up, right? Give me your thoughts on this scene and what's going on here. And how do you feel that this fits into the movie?
I mean, I always felt like I've never had any total problems with it. I think from a story perspective, kind of, I don't know. This almost feels like the montage scene in the first movie, where it's like, if there's like, it feels like we're on the run, and from the moment that, right as soon as the elevator scene happens, it feels like we're on the run. But then this like small section of time, it feels like there's just like we plateau, and it's like, all right, it doesn't feel like we're on the run anymore. It doesn't feel like we're in a hurry,
right?
And like. That's where they had to throw in the whole like, oh, well, there's a missile coming our way. Because if they didn't throw in the missile, then like Cap and Natasha could have hung out there for a while, to, like, thinking about it, like a plan to come up with, because I mean it's a bunker, so like whatever. And yeah, I never had any issues with this scene, but it does kind of just like go through the motions. Just it feels like we're just explaining, like, oh yeah, this is everything that has happened. It's a very dialogue heavy scene,
yeah,
which is why they had to throw in the, hey, there's a missile coming our way, to like to balance that out. So yeah, I didn't have like a huge problem with it. It just mainly because they balanced it out with a missile. And look, I look at it this way. I just saw a dude jump on top of a flying like vehicle, and knock it down and destroy it with just a shield, and then jump over it and do a superhero landing. There's a dude with a metal arm that's just killing people. Like, honestly, seeing the dude from Hydra in like a computer and stuff like that, I'm like, whatever.
Yeah, that's fair. But and again, you could argue that this was basically just a device to introduce their entire objective.
Yes.
The fact that they've insulated themselves into Shield, but I don't have an issue with it. Like I said, I love this movie, so I'm all on board. But anyway, they leave. They go to Sam, who's basically their only friend at this point because they're wanted. Shield has numerous resources, tentacles into everything, so they have to go undercover. And they go to Sam, and Sam's like, "Come on in, man. Hey, you're amongst friends. The water's warm here. Come on in. You guys are good." And he tells them about his experience as a para trooper, para something or another. I can't remember, but it's basically where he's got these falcon wings, and he uses them to fly in and out of missions and whatever. And this is the beginning of the Falcon and the Captain America relationship, which I'm here for. Anybody who knows the comics knows that Cap has two friends. One is Bucky, who's his guy from way back in the day, and the other is Falcon. And the Falcon has 100% fealty to Captain America. He is 100% loyal. He believes in the mission. He believes and Cap is his guy. And it is also that way in the MCU, in the movies, and as it should be. And so we see Falcon says, "Hey, man, it's not every day you get a chance to help out Captain America. I'm down. Let's go. What do you need?" And they go to the guy who was the hostage at the beginning of the movie. I can't think of his name, but he's a Hydra agent. And they take him up on this building, and Cap takes him to the edge, and he's like, "Cap, I know you're not going to throw me off." And he's like, "I'm not, but she will." And she kicks him off the building, and of course Falcon catches him and brings him up to the top of the roof. And he is, it's funny what descending at 80 feet per second will do to somebody's willingness to cooperate, because he's like, "I'll tell you everything, just da 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 da," and tells them the whole plan. And they're like, "Wow," right? Give me your thoughts on this scene.
I do want a small thing. That it's a small plot that's happening throughout the whole film, and I it's so funny to me. I love it. Is that Natasha's trying to help Steve get a girl, and and like even the first fight on the boat, like she's like I'm multitasking, and like Steve's just trying to go through the mission, and then during this scene, she's like, "Oh, what about what's her name from accounting?" And she's like, and he's like, "Yeah, with the nose piercing." I don't know. As he's falling, you hear him screaming, and they're having this just discussion right then and there, like they're continuing that plot. Like, "Oh, what about what's her name from accounting?" "Yeah, nose piercing. Not my thing." And then we continue with the actual story. But it's also, I love it because it's like it's Steve's reluctancy to move on from Peggy,
Right.
because like even we see that because we see him go to Peggy earlier, and that he still loves her, that he's just, and he even says to Natasha in the car ride to New Jersey, he's like it's kind of hard to find someone with relatable life experiences.
Right.
And like, yeah, I mean, how are you going to find anyone with relatable life experiences like that? So, yeah, anyway, we get into the scene. I love it because like Sam's on the phone, has a drink in his hand, and he's talking to the Asian guy. He's like, "The handsome guy to your left. A little more." He's like, "There you go. Hi, how's it going?" And he's like, "Hey, you got a nice tie there. I'd hate to mess that up," or something like that. And he's got a laser pointed to his chest. It's a great setup. It also makes Sam is introduced great in this movie because really we see the comedy to start with the on your left scene. Then we see him talking, realizing that he's helping other veterans out and like post-war just life efforts and trying to get them reacclimated to society and stuff like that. And it makes you care immediately for Sam, that like Sam cares for other people.
Right.
And that's what that's what I love the most about Sam's character is like I knew right away in Endgame that if Steve gave the shield to Sam or Bucky, I was going to be okay with whatever choice he made. And as soon as he says, "You're a good man, Sam," I knew right away Sam was going to be Captain America because I was like, you're definitely setting this up that he's going to be Captain America. I love it because it circles back to the first Avenger where the scientist is telling him and you're a good man. You have to be a good man, not a great soul or not a good soldier or something like that. Like Bucky's a great soldier. Bucky is a great soldier, a better soldier than Sam. But Sam is a good man.
Yes.
And that's why it was always the right choice to give Sam the shield.
Yes. Yes.
So like in this movie, I find him so relatable.
Not to cut you off, but Bucky refers to that in Captain America: Brave New World.
Yes.
In that scene where I forget who Sam's protege is, but in that scene where he's hurt, he's like, he chose you.
Yes.
But he refers to that. So I didn't mean to cut you off, but go ahead. Sorry about that.
No, yeah, you're right. And but I love the way he's introduced. This is the second time we're being introduced to like a new hero in a sequel to another movie. Like we did this with War Machine and Iron Man 2.
Right.
But with War Machine, we had already seen Rhodey previously, so we're getting introduced to a new hero and the character itself. So I really find Sam such a relatable person. Plus, like him knowing that like Natasha and Steve are on the run, and he's just like letting them into his house and stuff like that. Like you immediately trust this guy,
right?
That like whatever's gonna happen for the rest of Marvel, you're gonna trust this dude with whatever. And it's kind of hard to come by with like someone like Iron Man, for example. You have a hard time trusting him with all of the problems that he's gone through, and like Ultron and like Civil War and stuff like that. So you have a hard time trusting even Tony Stark. But with Sam, I trust Sam. I completely trust him and whatever he wants to do. Yeah. So he was always the right choice for Captain America. But I would have been okay even if he gave the shield to Bucky. It's one of those things that's like you just gotta trust Steve's judgment and whatever he wanted. But yeah, in this scene, it's interesting. We get a Stephen Strange reference, because the technology that they use, and another part of this movie that I feel like I just don't care for all that much. It's like, oh, they have a technology that is able to predict the outcomes of potential threats and stuff like that, and that's what ends up leading to like eliminating a large portion of the world's population, because they're going to eliminate potential threats. It's kind of like was it Minority Report?
Yep.
Yes.
Pre-crime. It's pre-crime.
Yes. So like it's exactly like Minority Report. And in fact, I hadn't seen Minority Report until after I saw this movie, and I was just like, yeah. I had seen it maybe like 5 years ago for the first time, and I was like, wow, Winter Soldier does this exact same thing.
Yeah.
So I've never been into that for this movie particular. Like Minority Report, I like that movie, but for Winter Soldier, it feels like this part just kind of, I don't know. It feels like predicting outcomes using algorithms and stuff like that. I was like, all right, yawn, let's move on. But like Stephen Strange gets referenced in this, and it's like, all right, what were you? And to this day, people are like, all right, what were you hinting? I mean, you're clearly saying it predicted outcomes, but you can't predict that someone's going to get into a car accident, then go all the way to another country and then get trained in the mystic arts. Like, you can't predict that. That's ridiculous. So but I mean, I think maybe. So, all right, in Civil War, when Rhodey gets into his accident, and Doctor Strange, the beginning of Doctor Strange, while he's in the car driving, right, during his accident. Do you remember when whoever he's on the phone with, he's talking about like potential surgeries that he can do, and he's like, well, there's a spinal fracture with a military officer. That's Rhodey. Stephen Strange was gonna work on Rhodey, and then he's like, no, next. He's like, that sounds interesting.
Wait. That was in the first Doctor Strange?
Yes.
So then that has to be because it
takes place. It does take place after Civil War.
Right, but I'm saying Civil War was released after Doctor Strange, was it not? After the first one, was it not?
I don't remember what came first, the chicken or the egg.
I think Doctor Strange did. Matter of fact, let me check our list here.
I know it takes place. I don't know what got released first. So Doctor Strange got released in 2016, and Civil War also got released in 2016, but I don't remember which came first, the chicken or the egg. Releases.
Oh, it looks like Doctor Strange did. Okay. Yeah. I did not realize that. Yeah. I did not realize. Wow. Okay.
So yeah, Doctor Strange was probably going to do the surgery. I might, but again, it's like, it's possible maybe they were looking at him from a surgeon perspective. I don't know. It makes no sense. Honestly, it makes totally no sense whatsoever. And another part of this movie that there's very small points in this movie that I'm like, why are we doing this? It's because this is such a great film. But this part, I was just like, okay, even in hindsight, in that moment, I had no idea what you were talking about. And in hindsight, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Yeah. Well, maybe it just predicts that Stephen Strange could be a thorn in the side of whatever agenda that they have. Obviously, they can't predict that he'll become Doctor Strange, but they can predict that, you know what, this guy is not necessarily going to go along with our world agenda. He's going to be a problem. So let's go ahead and take him out now. That's pretty much what I think it is. But to your point, I mean, again, without an explanation, it does kind of, I can see your point. I definitely can see your point. So Captain America, the Falcon, and Black Widow launched this plan, and Maria Hill launched this plan to get onto basically go to SHIELD headquarters and turn the 3 helicarriers against each other. They go about trying to do this. The first one was done by, who did was it Maria? No. Okay, Black Widow. I think Black Widow does the first one, and she gets the card inserted into the slot that's going to corrupt the data for that device and force it to turn on one of the other ones. Falcon has his issues fighting on, different would-be, I guess, Hydra operatives, but he gets it done. And so it comes down to Captain America. And wouldn't you know it, as Captain America is trying to get this accomplished, James Bucky Buchanan, a.k.a. the Winter Soldier, shows up, and they get after it. And when I say they get after it, they get after it. And look, it's a fight. They're fighting each other. They're going toe for toe, blow for blow. And I forget how Bucky ends up getting injured. I think Captain America broke his shoulder, or broke his arm, or broke something. And he doesn't do it to hurt him. He's running out of time. Okay. He's running out of time. So he breaks his arm or whatever, gets away from him momentarily. Of course, he loads the card into the slot with like 1 second left. And it's good that he does that because Hydra really doesn't have time to adjust, because we see a million targets go down to 3, and they're like, wait a minute, what happened to the targets? What happened to the targets? And they've already given the command to fire, and these helicarriers fire on each other. And of course, Sam is still stuck in the Shield headquarters, and he and Rumlow are having a fight, and all of a sudden they see one of the helicarriers come at them, and now they start running, and a part of the building just caves down on Rumlow. And Sam says to Nick Fury, hey, I'm on the 41st floor. And he's like, well, can you get to a safer place? He's like, not an option. Basically, I'm coming out the window. And he jumps out of the window, and in a maneuver that I can say is probably could only be done in a movie, they maneuver the helicopter so Sam can descend into it and not be killed by the blades, so to speak. Lands in the helicopter, and he's like, I said the 41st floor. And Nick Fury says, well, it's not like the floors are labeled. I mean, come on, man. Anyway, of course he gets away, and now they're all like, where's Cap? And Cap and Bucky are fighting it out, and he's like, look, man, I know you know me. And he's like, no, I don't. And he's like, yeah, you do, man. You know who I am. And he's like, no, I don't. He's like, Bucky, you're my best friend. I'm not gonna fight you. And Bucky starts just wailing on him. Bam, 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 bam. And then he looks at him and says, hey, man, finish it, because I'm with you to the end of the line. And I thought, what a powerful line, because Bucky had said that to him like 70-something odd years ago when his parents had died. And I think this is kind of what connects with Bucky, because I think Bucky remembers that some kind of way. It's important to remember that Bucky's been brainwashed. And we find out, was it in Civil War? No, it wasn't in Civil War. Wait, was it in Civil War where they gave him the commands? And
yes,
yeah,
we find out that he had been given commands. Yeah.
Commands that basically, he has to obey. They've kind of wired it into his brain that when he hears these commands, he has to obey. But anyway, this kind of breaks the wall and breaks the barrier. And, Steve falls to the earth as the last ship is descending upon the earth. And we see the Winter Soldier, pick him up from the water and lay him by the wayside onto the shore and walk away. But clearly something kind of connected with him. He had some sort of memory where he's like, okay, you actually are my friend. So I thought that was what a moment, man. What a moment when he says, because I'm with you to the end. And it just what a moment. That's all I can say. Give me your thoughts on this fight. Give me your thoughts on the moment. Just give me your thoughts on that scene.
Well, I think I'm gonna backtrack to the knife fight right around there, right when his mask gets dropped. Because that knife fight is the best.
It's phenomenal.
It's
phenomenal.
Incredible. Every single aspect of it. That whole scene is incredible from an action standpoint. And is my favorite action scene of the whole movie. Like it literally, Bucky goes into the car, pulls out the steering wheel, and throws it, and then it's like Sam's like, what do you want me to do? Right. like I don't have a steering wheel.
Right, it's nothing I can do. And Cap grabs them both, kicks the door open. Oh man, what a scene. What I will say is Sam would have had road rash. Okay,
yes,
say it. Yes, but go ahead. Sorry.
And then like even Natasha's like trying to fight Bucky and stuff like that, but doesn't really work all that well. And she like does this thing with like the voice, like her voice on a phone over in one area while she goes from another angle, which is very smart. And Bucky and Steve have their fight. Bucky and they're using knives, they're using the shield. It's so incredible. The hand-to-hand combat in that is just incomparable. And then Bucky's mask drops. And when I first saw this in the theaters, this was the moment that I realized that the MCU was headed in a direction that I had never seen before.
Right.
Because, up to this point, I mean, when Iron Man and Captain America and stuff came out, I was like, okay, like I've seen a lot of movies where they set up things and then nothing ends up happening. It happens all the time in cinema. And then Avengers comes out, and I was like, I can't believe they did it. And then, but after the Avengers, I'm like, okay, but like, what happens next? And then this movie comes out, and when I see Bucky, I realized, oh, they have plans.
Yeah.
They have huge plans going forward. Like, as soon as I saw him, I'm like, they really are planning this out, and I love that. Yeah. It calmed a part of my brain that was fearful of any movie I had seen from the 80s, 90s, 2000s, and that was like, okay, we're setting this up, but we're not going to end up doing anything with it. It happens all the time, and this moment, I was like, they have big plans, and I love that.
Yeah.
But getting to the final fight, I mean, it's cool seeing Falcon and flying around using his wings and stuff. Now, I will say I was a little thrown off at first when I saw the mechanized wings, just because I'm so used to the natural wings in the comics. It just kind of threw me off, and I actually really hated his suit design in this, but I understood why, because they were kind of going for more of a militaristic style. So I understood why they did it. And I mean, how are you going to do natural wings like at this point, especially in a Captain America movie? So I understood it. And but he's flying around. Like, Sam is an important part of this movie. Natasha is an important part of this movie. Maria Hill is even an important part of this movie. Mm-hmm. And of course, Steve has to give some sort of speech that's also incredible to motivate people, saying like, hey, only trust yourself and stuff like that. I don't even remember, but there are two people when it comes to speeches, actually three. I'm going to go three. Optimus Prime gives the best speeches ever. There's no doubt in my mind. As much as I love Steve's speeches, and they're all fantastic, Optimus Prime does it in a way that I'm captivated every single time. It makes me want to run through a brick wall. I have literally gone into football games, baseball games, and before then, not only am I just listening to music, but I'm also listening to the Optimus Prime give a speech, and that gets me hyped. I want to run through a wall every time I hear Optimus Prime. But Captain America also gives great speeches, and basically, Denzel Washington and Remember the Titans.
Yes.
Fantastic speeches.
Yes.
Those are my three. Those are my big three when it comes to speeches.
Agreed. Agreed 100%.
Optimus is in a level of his own. But yeah, we obviously had to get a Captain America speech thrown in here. And obviously there was like a scene that everybody was just like, yeah, we're doing this. But Steve does it in a way that's not corny. That it's like you you believe this guy. That if someone actually said all of this in this moment to you in person, you'd be like, yeah, I get what you're saying. He's saying it from a realistic standpoint. Now, Optimus Prime can be corny at times with his. I was literally watching a meme that was talking about Valentine's Day, and it literally had an Optimus Prime speech in it. It was just, I don't know what the context of it was, but I don't know. But Steve, his speeches are realistic. and they're a literal soldier speech, and I like that. But him and his fight with Bucky, there's just so much emotion riding into this fight. Like Bucky's trying to, like, you have that evil side that's fighting with him, and when he says I'm with you to the end of the line, I was like, get out of my face. No, no, no. And honestly, it was so cool though when it crashed, when the ship crashes, the helicarrier crashes and Steve is floating down descending into the water, because it parallels the same scene in the animated Avengers movie from the 2000s where Steve falls into the ice during World War II, because he's descending. It is like almost shot for shot looks the exact same. And I loved it, because as soon as I saw it, I was like, oh, that looks like from the movie. But it's such a cool, it's a cool cinematic shot, and they use a completely different camera too when Bucky takes Steve out of the water. They use I mean, I don't know what kind of camera they use, but it's more of like a grounded style shot that's like, it's not on a rig or anything where it's like easy, like smooth motioning. You're literally following him step for step as he's pulling him out of water, and I think it's really cool. This whole final scene is just fantastic. Now this ends, and then we get into like a small montage of like what all these SHIELD agents are up to after and honestly, it's kind of dumb. It's just kind of dumb. Like, I don't care. You could have easily just said some of this in future movies, and you got Marvin Gaye playing, obviously, which is a great.
I like when they arrested Gary Shandling. I like Gary Shandling's character. Like when he's talking to his guy, he's like, "Yeah, man, I've got this young assistant, and she's killing my back." But just the way Gary Shandling's just funny. He's just funny, man. Even when he doesn't mean to be, he's just funny. So when they arrest him and he kind of tries to turn away and get like that was, I don't know, but yes, it was.
Also, that ties into Iron Man 2. I love that too. That's so cool to me. Another part where it's like, that's a big picture moment. And I love that.
Right.
This montage just is so weird to me. It's just and with Marvin Gaye playing over the background too. Like, it's really cool when Sam is next to Steve in the hospital and Marvin Gaye's playing. That's so cool. I love that. It's just, it feels so out of place having that playing over, like, where are they now? And we see the SHIELD agents and like what they're doing, like, now that SHIELD is no longer SHIELD. Now, all right, I will say this, side note, I've never seen Agents of SHIELD outside of one episode. That was the pilot when it first aired. I watched it. I hate ABC. I want to make that very clear. I think when it comes to TV shows, ABC does the absolute worst. And I can tell what an ABC movie is just by looking at like 10 seconds of a show. And I knew ABC did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and I just wasn't into it. And I know a lot of people love the show. I'm going to have to go back and rewatch it. It also is not connected to any of this technically. I know people are saying like, oh, that should be canon, but I also have heard there's a lot of plot holes that are why it's not canon and can't be canon. So I completely get it. But like, I know Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. after this movie ends up like, they ended up like naming it like Agents of Hydra for like a season or two or something like that. But it's that scene just felt weird. But I love how this movie ends with Sam's next to Steve's side. He's got Marvin Gaye playing, and he says, "On your left." I was like, yeah, that's a great way to end this movie. I love it.
Oh man, it's just what it's a great scene, man. It's what a movie, what a movie. Um, it's interesting at the end. Falcon and Captain America make a plan to go after Bucky, and of course, Sam shows up. I'm sorry, not Sam. Nick Fury, and he's like, "I'm about to go. Whatever, you want to join me?" He's like, "No, I do what he does, just slower. I'm gonna follow Cap." And you know, Black Widow shows up and she says, that's as close as to apology as you're gonna get, or whatever. Anyway, she gives Steve's the documents, and she tells him, "Be careful what you pull on. You might not like what you find." Um, but they really set up a lot of future movies in this movie.
Yes.
Really did a great job of setting the agenda, setting the mindset. We never get to Civil War if we first don't deal with this stuff in Winter Soldier. Because by the time we get to Civil War, Steve's just had enough, and he's like, "Look, I'm not doing this. We're not doing this." But he doesn't get there if you don't have the events of Winter Soldier and realizing that Shield has been compromised and realizing that it's a different world than it was 70 years ago. We never get to Civil War. So I just think the way that they did that was phenomenal, man. I just love this movie. Okay. I love this movie. And as such, me personally, this is just me. I have no idea what you're going to give this movie. I was thinking about that last night, and I was like, it could be an 8.5. It could be a 9. But I'm going to give this movie, me, myself, and I, just me, I'm going to give this movie a 10 out of 10. And it is just under the Avengers, because I mean, it's the Avengers. Come on. But it's just under there. I'm going to give it a 10 out of 10. Those are my thoughts. Now, if I got to guess what you're going to give it, I'm going to say you give it a 9.5, just above the Fantastic Four First Steps. I know you love Spider-Man, and I think you would consider it disloyal to rank this movie above Spider-Man. So even if you do give it a 9.5, it's either a 9 or a 9.5, but it's going to be just underneath Spider-Man 2. But that's just my prediction. What do you give this movie, sir?
Yeah, I love this movie a lot. It's not a movie that like I'm like, oh, I really want to watch Winter Soldier, because honestly, I find Civil War and the first Avenger more rewatchable than this movie, but that's because of the heavy dialogue that is in this movie.
Right.
Like, I feel more emotion in the third one. I feel more fun in the first one. There's like, this is a great trilogy. Great trilogy.
The best in my opinion. The best, bar none, the best.
So, yeah, there's some parts of it where I'm also not. I don't really care for politics all that much, and there is some heavy political talk in this movie, and I just don't care for. I mean, you and I had a discussion before this that I'm just not. I don't care to talk about politics whatsoever, but it makes sense in this. It of course makes sense for a Captain America movie. Why would you not have politics? I also know when to understand politics in film. In every Captain America movie should have politics in it.
Right.
All three of them do. But yeah, I've just never been into politics. But so I'm gonna give this a 9 out of 10.
That's what
I this is my definitive 9 out of 10 film. Like, when I think of a 9 out of 10, I think about this film. Okay. I don't find it rewatch. It's obviously not in my out of my 10 out of 10s, because I like hold that to like a small group of like 15 films. So, and I definitely don't put it in that category. So it really came down to like a 9.5 or a 9. But when it comes to all the other 9.5 out of 10 films that I have on my rankings, I just have a hard time putting it in that same category as all of those films.
Okay.
It just feels like all of those films are just, they do things for me. They get me emotional. They get me hyped. They do everything that I love. And I love this movie. And it's just not, it's a smooth ride, right?
Mhm.
It's you're not driving a Lambo. You're not driving some beat up old rental car. You're just driving a normal car, normal ride, smooth ride, and it's everything's right. It's a Sunday morning drive. That's what it is. Yeah, I give it a 9 out of 10. I have it actually just below. I have it below Fantastic Four First Steps.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes.
Really?
So,
Wow.
yes.
Okay.
I had Fantastic Four First Steps as a 9.5 out of 10, but I dropped it after rewatching it.
Right.
But I just I felt again the emotions. I didn't feel too many emotions outside of the Bucky and Cap situation.
Yeah.
Yes. And honestly, if somehow Bucky was not the Winter Soldier, or this was the first time we were being introduced to Bucky, this I don't know how much emotion is in this movie at all. I mean, they try to do that with like the relationships and stuff, and like Peggy and stuff like that, and Nick Fury dying. But like the Bucky thing is really the emotional drive of this whole movie.
Right.
And I just feel more emotional when it comes to the Fantastic Four movie. It's also exactly what I wanted in a Fantastic Four movie. Like I got everything I wanted. I mean, we haven't had great Fantastic Four movies. I got to see Galactus. I also think there's a grander scale of like, this is world ending. Not to say Winter Soldier isn't world ending. I mean, eliminating like a large part of the population, which is basically what Thanos was going to do, who ended up doing. It's just I felt more like oh, things are going to go down when I saw Galactus versus seeing a bunch of helicarriers. That's just for me. But I am like just above that. I mean, I have 2 projects in between that we haven't gotten to yet. Or I have 3 projects that we haven't gotten to yet in between the 2 of them. But yeah, overall, like 9 out of 10 is what I'm feeling.
Well, that's about where I thought you'd be. I thought it was either 9 or 9.5 out of 10. So that's par for the course. That's what I thought. And yeah, man, definitely one of my favorite movies ever. I think I identify more with Cap. That's just me. You know, we all have our heroes that we identify with, but I identify more with Cap because he really is like he's the moral, he's the conscience of the MCU. Cap is always gonna try to do the right thing. And yeah, so I love this movie, man. Obviously 10 out of 10. Next week we have Guardians of the Galaxy, I think.
Yes.
So yeah, we're on a roll for a while. We are on a roll for the next at least month.
Now, what are your initial thoughts on Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one?
I love
before even going into it.
I love the first one. I thought it made galactic entities entertaining and relatable. I think they did a great job because that could have gone horribly wrong. If that's not done in the way it's done, I definitely don't think you get a second one or a third one. I think it ends right there. So the first one was great. What's going to be interesting is when I go back and watch the second one, because I was not aware of the Eternals at the time. Well, I was aware, but I really wasn't aware of just how Eternals were procreated and how they were made. And so it just made the second movie kind of weird. Now that I'm familiar with the concept, when I go back and watch it, I mean, we'll see. It'll be entertaining. But definitely love Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one. It was incredible. and it was funny. It was just really funny, and the soundtrack to that is great.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, that soundtrack may be one of the best ever. Just because I mean, there's a difference between the score and the soundtrack, and the soundtrack for Guardians of the Galaxy, I can't think of a better one, not a better Marvel one. You know what I mean? So anyway, looking forward to it, buddy. Well, hey, man, I thank you for joining me. And to those of you who will watch this show, we thank you and appreciate you. And look, we just love discussing Marvel content with you guys. So we'll be back next week to talk about the Guardians of the Galaxy. Jordan, you say that you liked Civil War better. In my humble opinion, this is the best Captain America. This is the best for me. This is the best single Captain America film. Like, I just love everything that this movie was about. I thought it was great. I love the score. I love the soundtrack to this one. I love who Captain America is and who he's trying to be. This was just, to me, they just got this right. You know what I mean? They got it right. So anyway, hey, to everybody who joined us, we thank you. We appreciate you. Look, thank God for waking me up this morning. Thank God for waking this knucklehead up next to me. And I get to come back and, do it again with him next week. So super excited about that. Jordan, tell these folks where they can find you, man.
You can find me at Ultegacy, Ultegacy on all social media platforms. NFL season's over. NASCAR season's underway. Olympics are under the way. NBA just had has All-Star Weekend right now. We're getting full swing. MLB season should be starting up soon. So full swing of like spring sports really are coming up now. So yeah, you can find us there. And when it comes to movies and stuff, you can find me on Instagram. I'll post like when I'm going to see movies. I haven't seen a movie this year in theaters. I thought about seeing the movie Whistle, which was on an Aztec Death Whistle, but I don't know if I'm going to see it or not. I'm kind of waiting. I think the first movie I might see is the new Scream movie. And yeah, you can find me on Letterboxd. That's where I have all my rankings for everything. Every episode of everything Marvel is on there. Every movie, every special, everything. I also have like my favorite movies by year. I have my favorite rankings of different universes, like different just related movies like Wizard of Oz. I have all the Wizard of Oz movies ranked. I have all the Conjuring universe movies ranked, all the Avatar movies ranked, even though I didn't see the new one. I have everything ranked. So when it comes to all my lists, you could probably get a head start and take a sneak peek at like what I'm going to be ranking, but I'm also changing them based off of these reviews. So what you see might not always be the final product and what I end up saying. So yeah, you can find me there.
Interesting. I tell you what, you put an idea in my head because I am a huge Mission Impossible fan. Mm-hmm. Now I'm a huge, ginormous, like I love Star Wars. But I love me some Mission Impossible. So I know we said we were going to do Star Wars, and we got to put a timetable to it. What do you think about doing Mission Impossible?
Mission Impossible has been a weird franchise. Actually, I'm looking at my rankings for the Mission Impossible franchise. While I only have a negative review on one movie, I like them. I don't feel as heavy about it as like I do with like Star Wars or Marvel or DC. It's one of those, and spy movies in general are like a shaky genre for me. I think if Tom Cruise wasn't in this, in the same light that if Matt Damon wasn't in Jason Bourne, I don't think I'd be watching them.
Okay. Well, I love me some Mission Impossible, man. So I don't know. We'll see. More to come on that. But either way, Jordan, hey, man, we get to come back and do this next week. Love it. Appreciate it. To those who joined, appreciate you guys. You guys have an amazing week. And yeah, we will see you Saturday. Thanks, everybody. Be safe. Have a great week. Deuces.
This movie was about
Lights, camera, action is going down. For my ATL movies, when we run this town with your host, T-Will, yeah, keeping it real. From the A to the screen, you can feel the thrill. Rolling with the classics, we're setting the pace. Highlighting the magic of our soulful space. Got the vibe, got the crew, making it tight. When the screen lights up, everything feels right. Grab your popcorn, let's make it loud. T-Will, T-Will. It's movie time, ATL style. Stand proud. From the silver screen to the hearts we steal. T-Will, T-Will. Every frame we capture is a real deal. Yeah. Talking premieres where the stars align. ATL views, yeah, they really shine. Behind the